Hi, my name is Chelsea, and I'm going to be presenting to you today the Amorywars second stage turbine blade. Due to some technical difficulties, we are resorting to using my phone, but either way, we're going to start off with a history and background of the comic, going into the story and plot lines, and then we're going to analyze a couple panels, then discuss whether this is literature or not. The story itself is written by Claudio Sanchez, which is the lead guitarist and vocalist of the progressive rock band Coheed and Cambria. Second Stage Turbine Blade is the name of their first studio album, which was released in 2002. The songs directly correlate to the Amorywars story in chronological order. Claudio first got the idea for the concept while he was visiting Paris, and he named the story The Bag Online Adventures. The Bag Online, he got the name from a store that was across the street from his apartment in Paris, and they were originally released online. It was basically a short prequel to the Second Stage Turbine Blade chapter in the story. In the summer of 2004, an artist by the name of Wes Abbott took up trying to draw out the chapters. He released 2 issues, and they used to be available online, and now they are out of print. In 2007, the first chapters were re-released, and the artist was Gus Vasquez. He illustrated the first 2 chapters. Mike Miller illustrated chapters 3, 4, and 5, and Gabriel Guzman illustrated 6 through 10. In 2009, they released Volume 1, which is this, and Volume 2, each containing 5 chapters. Going on to the story. The Amorywars takes place in the solar system called Heaven's Fence, which is also known as the Keywork. It is 78 planets organized in a triangle and connected in place by beams of energy. There were originally 12 mages that ruled over each sector of the Keywork, but one of them rose up against the rest and is taken over. He is known as Supreme Tri-Mage Wilhelm Ryan. The story starts with Coheed and Cambria living in a suburban home with their family. They have 4 kids. The oldest is Josephine, the second is Claudio, then they have 2 twins that are younger, Matthew and Maria. One day as Coheed's leaving his job, Mayo Deftonwolf, this guy, he confronts him. Mayo is one of the lieutenants of Wilhelm Ryan. He's almost head in command of a lot of things, and he tells Coheed that him and his wife have a virus inside them that has mutated and been passed on to their kids, and the one in their kids is going to cause the apocalypse. So either Coheed has to kill his kids, or Mayo and his men will. Coheed and Cambria then make the decision to just kill their kids for the good of humanity. They get the twins with poison. They get their oldest daughter with an a hammer to the head, and they actually missed their other son, Claudio, because he was out too late with his curfew that night. As they miss the deadline, Mayo comes and takes Coheed and Cambria away to the planet where Ryan is. Ryan's evil. Let's see. Then what happens is Claudio comes back and finds his family is missing, so he ends up leaving on his own. Coheed and Cambria then remember who they are. They're actually part of a terrorist combat unit called KBI, Knowledge, Beast, and Inferno. The Knowledge is Cambria. She can see the future and use her mind to fight, kind of like Raven in Teen Titans. And Coheed is the Beast. He has a gun for one arm and blades coming out of the other. He can basically fight his way out of any situation. And the Inferno is their brother Jesse. Jesse is basically the heart and soul of the KBI unit, and they fight as a rebellion against Ryan. And Coheed and Cambria's memories had been suppressed up until now. So in the story, they are actually trying to escape out of this ship that they're in, and once they awaken, they are getting out. That's where Volume 1 ends, and since we're only covering Volume 1, we don't need to go into every detail. But Claudio, their son, the reason they were trying to kill their kids, that's actually a lie. They actually were, the reason Wilhelm Ryan wanted them to kill their kids is because one of them has the power to defeat him, and that one happens to be Claudio, and Claudio happens to be the one they didn't get to kill. So Claudio suddenly has weird powers as well. He can turn invisible, and he can like breathe life into people that were dead, including his sister who gets hit in the head with a hammer, so he can see what's going on. So what ends up happening is Coheed and Cambria, after they do their part with Ryan, the story actually continues mostly with Claudio. Let's look at the panels now. I think we're getting about that time. Let's see. This first panel here is Coheed holding his two dead twins. And it says, Coheed Kilgannon curses the virus in his body, the virus that they passed on to his children, the Montsar virus, a disease so deadly he had to do this. He's thinking, Maria, my star, Matthew, good night. They died in silence, their throats clotting from the same infection that still grows on their skin. He stares into their cold and empty eyes. There must be another way. At this point, he's very sad. You can tell by the colors that he's really in a down mood. Even his face, he looks almost dead inside himself. Usually a lot of the cool colors, a lot of the colors in this comic are a lot of reds and blues and black, and there's some like orange and yellow. Usually they use a lot of reds to show off like fighting scenes. So I have another example of that. Oh no, but I lost it. Oh, sweet. So here's a fight scene after Coheed and Cambria have busted out of their chamber in the ship. And there's a lot of red because of the fighting. Even Cambria's, a lot of her power is actually red colored, and the soldiers they fight are red. And usually the panels get smaller when there's a lot of action. There's a lot of action in here. It's mostly sci-fi. So that's usually what they do. There's a lot of reds for action-y, and sometimes the bigger panels are for more dramatic effects. Yeah. So then we're going to get on to, is this literature? I mean, originally when I read it like a couple of years ago, I didn't think it was because, I mean, a singer wrote it. I mean, is it really that good? But after reading it again, I realized there's a lot of layers to this. Let me try and say it without trying to ramble. There's a lot of layers. One of the main themes in this is isolation. I mean, Coheed and Cambria, since they're genetically built as a terrorist unit, they don't really have a family. They try to make their own with each other, and they're still kind of isolated, like even when they start figuring out who they are. I mean, Coheed has dreams about it, and Cambria she feels like she knows it because she's the knowledge. And it's kind of hard for them to just figure out what they're doing. And then there's Claudio, who after he starts having these weird powers, and the invisibility power also includes he can go through things. And that's really like a physical isolation. I mean, he can kind of control it, but sometimes he can't. I mean, it saves him from getting killed a couple times, but, you know, I mean, he's still pretty isolated. And I mean, they're all isolated in the way, I mean, they also feel really powerless. There's a lot of times in here where it's like, are you doing the right thing? Should I kill my kids? Is this the right thing to do? And I mean, he can't do anything because of Coheed feels like there's so much other powers above him. I mean, also for literature, there's a plot line, there's conflict, not even just because between the characters themselves, but inside themselves with like what's right or wrong. There's also just, I mean, there's a lot of foreshadowing. There's a protagonist and antagonist. There's a lot of things. So yeah, after seeing all the layers and rereading it, I definitely think this is literature. Alright, yeah. So, now that we've looked through that, I hope you're more excited or interested in the Amorywars. Maybe check out the band. But now that we've looked through the history, the story, we even looked up the panels, and we decided that this is literature, I think that's just about it. So, yeah, thanks.